This show is sponsored by BetterHelp.
It's so easy to get caught up in what everyone else needs from you and never take a moment to think about what you need from yourself.
Therapy can give you the tools to find more balance in your life so you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind.
Find more balance with BetterHelp.
Visit betterhelp.com/poundcast today to get 10% off your first month.
That's better H that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/poundcast.
Today's show is also brought to you by LVJco.com. That's Louisville Vegan Jerky Company.com. LVJCO.com. They make Louisville Vegan Jerky, and it is 100% plant-based jerky. And they have a website that you can go to, and you can get your entire order 10, 20. Wait, what am I? It's 20% off. I'm thinking 10%. No way, it's 20.
No way.
No way. And look, they got these. They just dropped a new flavor, Brent. Pizzeria Supreme Jerky.
Mm.
I
can't wait for that one.
And look, this stuff, it has a shelf life of 9 months. It's made and bagged in the USA. It is gluten-free, non-GMO, plant-based, delicious, mouth-watering jerky. The perfect snack for summer. The perfect snack that you're going to want to get and have on hand all summer long. And if you don't eat it in the summer, like I said, shelf life of 9 months, you can eat it in the fall if you want.
You can eat it in the winter.
You can eat it in the winter. And what else can I say about this stuff? If you don't want to buy it online and get that 20% off by using the code word Poundcast at lvjco.com, you can get it at Whole Foods or Sprouts or other great outlets who sell wonderful snacks, such as Louisville Vegan Jerky. Anything else to say about little Louisville Vegan Jerky, Brant?
I mean, I could go on and on, but I don't know. I think I could go on and on forever,
I mean,
but
we could start debating on what our favorite flavor is. I know what you're going to say. You might say cherry chipotle.
Cherry chipotle. I don't know. Look, I could go on and on with Louisville Vegan Jerky. I mean, there's so much to say, but you guys, I guess you heard what you need to hear, I guess.
Oh, I got some bad news. The Summer Small Batch Variety Pack 2.0 is sold out, but that's okay because you can just still order all those flavors and get 20% off by going to lvjco.com and use the code word Poundcast at checkout for your exclusive amazing discount.
Listen.
Yes, Brent?
What this show, what were you going to say, actually?
Well, I was just going to add to that and say that this show is brought to you by you, viewers like you, listeners like you, because we have a Patreon, patreon.com/poundcast, and that's what keeps this show going strong. Patreon.com/poundcast. Go there today, sign up. You'll be supporting us directly. And it's kind of a cool thing. You can support us. We're just a mom and pop little Poundcast here. And when you do that, you get the Unzipped. What is Unzipped? Unzipped is the extra long episode. Every episode we do has a free version, which is about an hour long. And then the Unzipped is we keep going. We keep recording and we keep drilling down and we keep digging in and we keep unzipping. We get all the way unzipped. We're so unzipped that when we're taking a pee, our pants are on the ground.
They're around our ankles.
Around our ankles. Yeah. Sometimes the pants are off.
Yeah. Sometimes the pants are off, man. They're folded up. They're in the
hamper. They're
in the hamper.
Yeah.
Those pants are soiled and off.
They're soiled and off. And they're nasty. And they're in the hamper. Patreon.com/poundcast. Sign up because you will feel great.
Sign up, take your pants off, and have a listen. And also, you get the episodes 2 days early usually, and they're also mostly ad-free.
Great point. That's another great point, Brian. And look, today's episode, we have a heated debate. And I'm not even going to tell you what it is, but you'll hear it. We also listen to some an acapella version of Touch Me by The Doors and Light My Fire by The Doors. And yeah,
It's interesting.
maybe those songs are, you'll hear it because it's coming up next.
And if you want to watch the show, check out youtube.com/the Poundcast. Okay. The Poundcast.
Great point.
We're on Instagram and on TikTok, the Poundcast. And we have a Discord too. Join that. It's on the description. The link is in the description of the episode on YouTube or even on wherever you get podcasts. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Brent.
Okay. Let's roll the clip, I guess, and get this party started here, huh?
The party started. Roll the clip.
Okay.
Doug and Brent talking to each other. Doug and Brent, what will they talk about today? Doug and Brent are talking to some pimples. Doug and Brent will talk to their friends. And Doug and Brent talking on the Poundcast.
Welcome to the Poundcast. Once again, we are one-on-one. We are Zoom on Zoom because that's how we do it.
What were we calling it that one time? It was back to back. Was it back to back or something like that?
Well, we should do one that's back to back where we're like
Right.
facing each other or something.
Or
But,
yeah,
Zoom on Zoom or face to face.
something like that. Cheek to cheek.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Hey, we're doing it. Ask to Dad. You know. What if we did it? Ask to Dad. Yeah. That was a good bit of yours. Ask to Dad. That's a really good bit.
I never made a comedy special, and I got all these bits that I did that are like just in the past.
Hey, but
I don't even do them anymore, but
yeah.
actually this one guy on Twitter recently, he tagged me and it was like he was on stage in front of a huge crowd of people and he did my exact bit of like the it's been bit.
What?
Do you know the bit?
Yeah, I do. But what do you mean? He stole it?
Well, he just did that joke word for word and then did the bare naked ladies thing. And then he said, got to give props to Doug for this bit or whatever. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, who did this? This is like my joke. I'm like confused. And he goes, oh, I did it. But he's on stage in front of like a huge audience. And I'm like, what? And he's like, well, that's why I gave you credit. I'm like, you gave me credit, kind of gave me credit on this tweet, but
that is
like, do you want me to take it down? I'm like, yeah, take it down. And I go, why? Well, the thing is, I don't think he was a comedian. I think he was like a live podcast. And then somewhere during their show, he just did that or something.
That's just weird. That's so weird that, hey, check out this joke. Did he do it live? Did he say, this is a DJ Doug Pound bit?
No, he didn't say that live. He just like,
that's just thievery. That's thievery. That's just thievery.
But then it made me think like, I don't do that joke anymore and it's not recorded anywhere. So I gotta bring it back or something.
Oh man,
I think that's on my list of things to do this fall is somehow make a special, but I want to do it DIY style so I could like use all the samples I want and not have to clear any music or anything.
Maybe I want to double head that with you. Maybe we could somehow figure out an economical way of doing two specials. I've got a backlog of material too. In fact, I have 2 different hours worth of two different specials ready to go that I feel like I should get out there because, who knows? Thieves might be taking that stuff,
Well, it's more like I just want it to be done and dusted, I want it to be on I just want them to be captured. So, because like most comedians, you can look up their bits and the only ones of me are like whatever people record on their phone at the show, get little bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I did. There's a whole set somewhere that I did for the Mega 64 guys.
Uh-huh.
But anyway,
Well, yeah, it's funny when people think they're doing you, some sort of favor or something like that when they're stealing your stuff. Because I had a thing like that where, well, actually, it was one of the many uploads of my videos, but this guy, Gangster Party Line, once again, this guy uploaded it, and he messaged me because people were saying, "Oh, this is Brian Weinbach," and he messaged me. He said, "Hey, man, your video is doing really well." He's like, "Oh man, it's hey, I just thought you should know this video is doing great," and he was getting millions of views on his thing, and I said, "Okay, I guess that's good for you. I guess." I mean, it's like he was getting all this
right.
stuff from it, I mean, following and stuff from it. I'm thinking, do you think you're doing me a favor here? I mean, it's
Well, I think in the case of the guy who did my joke, I don't think he's a comedian. I think maybe he just
right.
did that one bit, so he doesn't understand that that's like a no-no. That's like a big faux pas.
Right.
Or
Right.
and then maybe your guy. I mean, I think a lot of
Well,
people are just like,
no, I don't think that.
the way the internet works now is just like
Yeah.
people just take stuff and they post it. And,
Yeah, I don't think he meant.
right.
I think he meant well. Obviously,
Right.
he thought I would think it was cool how well the video was doing on his channel. I think he thought that even though I don't really benefit from it, I think he was kind of thinking that I would like how much exposure the video is getting or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, but he was nice about it and stuff. I asked him to credit me, and he did, and he was nice. But then there was this other guy who stole the video, and he would not credit me, and he was being a real jerk about it. And I actually tried to report his upload, and Instagram sided with him stupidly.
What?
Yeah, it's just so annoying because they just thought that they didn't think I was authorized to talk about to be in charge of the video or something like that. I don't know. It's stupid. I need somebody on the inside to help me. I need somebody on the meta inside.
Zuckerberg, you got to befriend Zuckerberg.
Yeah. How can I get in touch with Zuck?
Send him a message on Facebook. He's on there, I think. Look, let's get into a.
You got to find this.
Well, hold on a second. Before we get into we have some acapellas. Before we get into that, I have one kind of, I don't know, topic that we can briefly discuss that could be maybe, I don't know if it's of interest or not, but I kind of got into an I don't know, one could say debate, but I don't even think there's a debate here, but I got into a debate with somebody, and I won't tell you what my opinion is on it yet. I'll ask you first.
Okay.
But what do you, 4:30 p.m. Is that, objectively speaking, is that a late lunch or an early dinner?
Well, you mean if you eat at that point, you're saying?
Yeah, or if you make plans to eat with somebody at that point at 4:30, are you making late lunch plans or early dinner plans?
Well, I mean, I guess,
I'll tell you, I have a definite position on this, but I won't say what that is until
Okay. Well, it depends on your lifestyle. If you're someone that works the overnight shift, and then you're getting off at 8 a.m, I guess it's all relative. So it's kind of like,
okay.
I think typically for me, that sounds like an early dinner.
Let me rephrase the question.
Yeah.
I'm not rephrase. Let me reiterate. Objectively speaking. Okay. Forget your personal lifestyle. Okay. Objectively.
4:30. That's an early dinner. Easy.
Objectively speaking.
Absolutely. 100%.
Okay. Let me now, Exhibit A. Has any restaurant ever put out their dinner menu at 4:30 p.m.? If it's two things. If it's the kind of restaurant that has that's open all day and they do change menus depending on the time of day, right? Those kind of restaurants, can you name a single restaurant that has put their dinner menu out at 4:30 p.m.?
I don't go to these restaurants that do that. So, and that's not the kind of thing I really pay attention to. Usually most restaurants, if they do the switch over, it's breakfast to serve till 11. And then here's the menu for the rest of the day. Those are the kind of places I go
Okay.
to.
Dinner menus, they come out at 5 p.m. And look, case in point, let's take Fred 62. Their dinner delights, that menu is not available until 5 p.m. Lunch is served all day. I mean, into the evening as well. But that's an example of one of every example of a restaurant where, I mean, a lot of restaurants do close from 4 to 5 a lot of times, but if they're open all day, lunch is served until 5, and then 5 is when dinner starts. That's one thing. 2, would you say that dinner is an evening meal and lunch is a day meal?
I feel like I'm on trial right now. You're like talking to me like a lawyer.
Well, I'm just saying, by definition, isn't dinner supposed
You're
to be
trying to make me be wrong by
I'm not
by
forget
asking
you
questions that I can't
you can't argue
correct on,
yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying, I mean, would you agree that dinner is kind of by definition the evening meal and lunch is a day meal? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, then would you agree that evening starts at 5 p.m. according to, let's say, the news and weather stuff, and if you're to go by the official sort of labelings of time periods of the day, that evening starts at 5 or even 6, but okay, 5, sometimes 5, and that the afternoon, would you say 4:30 is the afternoon or the evening? According to the way that
technically it's the afternoon.
Okay, technically the afternoon. So by that logic, wouldn't it make sense that if you're eating at 4:30 during the afternoon, that would be lunch because that's the afternoon / daytime meal, and that 5:30 is when you would eat dinner, right?
Well, the question you asked me, was it an early dinner or a late lunch? And I will submit that most people go to lunch at noon to 1 o'clock. Most people eat dinner. A lot of times we're talking 6 p.m. So if you're looking at the median times of lunch and dinner, I would say it's closer to dinner. And that's my logic, not about the Farmer's Almanac time of what time afternoon ends.
Let me say this. What is the most famous time for dinner of all time? Dinner at 8. That's the most famous phrase for dinner is dinner at 8.
I've never heard that. I've heard film at 11.
Film at 11. I mean, dinner at 8 is the most classic phrase for dinner. So I would say, I mean, it seems to me that dinner, 8 o'clock is actually a more classic time for dinner is 8 o'clock. And as for lunch, I would say the most classic time for lunch is noon, but I mean, people definitely have lunch at 2, but whatever on that. There's afternoon tea at 4 o'clock, but that's a whole nother story. But one other point I just wanted to make is that what's the most typical work hours for people? I mean, if you're talking about the general public, what's the most typical work hours? 9 to 5. Would you say that 9 to 5 is the most typical work hours?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody eat dinner during work?
Though they might have an early dinner.
Not at work.
If they get off at 4:30.
Wouldn't you say that dinner is a meal you have after work? After you get off of work, you have dinner. Wouldn't you say? And wouldn't you say that people definitely have lunch at work, right? All I'm saying is if you're having an early dinner at 4:30, you can't do that if you're getting off at 5.
Well, you can't really go to lunch at 4:30 either, because then you're just off work.
No, you could eat lunch at work at 4:30.
Then why can't you just call it an early dinner?
Because dinner's not what you do. You don't eat dinner at work. You eat lunch at work.
Well, if you had a meal at 4:30, you would have skipped lunch and now you're having an early dinner.
Not necessarily. I mean,
Well,
point
look,
is
Brett,
nobody has
I
dinner at lunch. They have, I mean, nobody has dinner at work. They have lunch at work. You know, that's right.
it depends how you want to consider it. Now, look, I just did a Google search. What's the average dinner time in the USA? And what's the average lunchtime in the USA? The average dinner time in the USA is 6:22 p.m. That's what they came up with. Typically between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. Typical lunch hour is between 12 and 1 p.m. So would you say 4:30 p.m. is closer to 6 p.m. or closer to 1 p.m.?
Well, I mean, I'm not going off of
Which one? You got to pick one.
okay. That's
I'm the lawyer. Now I'm the lawyer.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So you're saying is 4:30 closer to 1 p.m. or you're saying 6 p.m.? Well, it is closer to 6 p.m.
Okay.
But I don't think that matters.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, let me rebut.
Leave it up to the jury. So sign off in the comments.
Let me rebut. It's not, while it might be closer to that time, 6 p.m., even though, I mean, it's not, there is a range, there's a dinner time frame. Dinner time frame is defined as a certain thing, and the lunch time frame is defined as a certain thing too. So therefore, it doesn't really matter how close you are in the time frame of lunch to the dinner time frame starting. It's technically speaking, okay, like, look, see, this is the line right here for where this is lunch going to lunch, and then the dinner time frame going there. If lunch is here, even if it's there, right there next to when dinner starts, technically it's in the time frame of lunch, and dinner time frame starts here. So
yeah, but the question was, is it an early dinner? So by definition, it would be a little bit earlier than the time frame. So by your own logic,
no, I would say I would say
dinner would be right before the typical dinner time.
It's not. An early dinner would be, oh, it's right at 5 o'clock. Like, that's the earliest dinner you can have, because any earlier than that, it becomes late lunch, is what I'm saying. I'm saying by definition, early dinner means it's the earliest, it's in the early zone of dinner, which means 5 o'clock and on. Whereas, you get earlier than 5 o'clock, you're in late lunch territory.
Well, agree to disagree. I stand by my.
So you still, even though as defined by, but even though there's not a single restaurant that serves dinner at 4:30 or has a dinner menu available at 4:30, and that if you look at news forecast, if you look at the news and go by the news about what times of days, equal what time, when is evening and when is afternoon, and you agree that dinner is an evening meal and lunch is an afternoon meal or a daytime meal. All of that is, there's no agree or disagree. The proof is, it's just a fact. It's just a fact that 4:30 is lunch.
Well, I disagree.
You mean to say
you say there's not a single menu that there's dinner menu starts before 5?
Hey, prove it. Show it.
We've checked every restaurant.
Well, I've never seen that before at a restaurant.
You just said there's not a single one, and I'm sure I could find one if I try.
Find it. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see a dinner menu that starts at 4:30. That won't happen. Why would they even do that? Start it at 4:30, 5 o'clock. Now that's, a lot of places have dinner at 5. Their dinner menu starts at 5. That's very common. And but all I'm saying is here's what I think you're confusing. I think you're confusing your sort of intuitive personal feeling about it, that with the facts or with agreed upon definitions and meanings of words. So you're saying 4:30 feels like an early dinner to you on a personal level, but if we're what I'm trying to argue is that, technically speaking, just based on the general agreed upon meanings of words and the meanings of times that 4:30 is not dinner, it's lunch.
I think that's semantics, and you're proving my point by disproving your own point, because my point is you take the median time of dinner time in the USA, 6:22, and the median time of lunchtime in the USA, 12:1. And what's it closer to? Dinner. And
That's again, but again,
that's just how I look at it.
it doesn't matter if it's closer to or not. There's the time frame. It's like, okay, like for example, you know, if you if you have to record it's like we're talking about, like, if you're in the zone, it doesn't matter how close you are to the next zone. If you're in the zone of one zone, you're in that zone. It doesn't matter if it's close to the other zone.
Look,
Like,
I'll agree with you if I'm at a restaurant.
let me
You know, if the dinner menu is not available, then I'll order something on the lunch menu, and you know, you could call it lunch if you want to call it whatever you want to call it. But to me, I'm not going to be eating. I'm not going to have a lunch at 4:30 and then like have a dinner at like 10 p.m. or something.
Again, that's my point.
It's my last meal for the day.
Right. That is your personal.
That's my dinner.
That's your personal dinner, but it's not dinner objectively. Take your own personal self out of the equation. I'm talking about the objective, you know, the objective standard. Hey, for you, it's dinner. Sure. That's your own personal schedule. I'm talking about in general, what technically it is in general. One other thought is, if you're in zone 1 and then say you live in zone 2, but you get benefits if you live in zone 1. Well, if you live really close to the border between zone 1 and zone 2, but you're still in zone 2, you won't get the benefits of zone 1. I'm just saying, it doesn't matter how close you are to the border, you're still in zone 2. You know what I mean? You can't say, well, I'm almost in zone 1, so can I get the benefits? Well, they wouldn't do that, you know, I mean, or whatever, you know?
Well, what if you know, okay, well, look, it's like I said in the beginning, it's different for everybody, but I'm just going off the median thing here. So like you're a night owl, right? So if you wake up,
I'm not, my schedule doesn't have anything to do with it.
Well, you're saying it's all about my personal thing, but I think it's kind of like your personal thing, because you probably went and ate with someone at 4:30, and this is how this started, right?
No, this is what it was, really. This is how it really started. Someone said, hey, do you want to get lunch? And I said, well, I have a podcast at 2:00 or 2:30, so I can have lunch at 4:30. And then his response, I'm paraphrasing, you know, didn't go exactly like this, but he said, okay, well, I was talking about having lunch, not dinner, you know, and I'm saying 4:30 is lunch, you know, that still is lunch, not having to do with my schedule. That is lunch, technically speaking. Anytime you bring, and then he did what you do, and he brought up my schedule. He's like, well, maybe to you at 4:30 is lunch. I'm saying it's not about to me, and it's not about to you what is lunch and what is dinner. It's about what is dinner and lunch, just objectively speaking. Forget my schedule. Forget your schedule. I'm just saying, based on what is lunch defined as. Lunch is the daytime afternoon meal. Dinner is the evening meal. Evening starts at 5. I mean, you could be argued that evening starts at 6, actually, but I'll give you 5.
Are you going to go to lunch with someone at 4:30 today and then have dinner like later?
No, I'm not today. This was yesterday, actually.
Okay, so did you have dinner after that?
I didn't meet with them. No, I mean, we didn't. No, I mean, it was too late. I mean, no, it didn't work out. We didn't. No.
Well, it sounds like your friend's like, well, I don't want to have this argument. I'd rather just skip the meal altogether.
I say this. No, it wasn't that. He couldn't do that late anyway. I mean, it wasn't like part of that. But I would say, for me, look, I didn't eat. This doesn't matter. My schedule doesn't matter. But I didn't eat that day until probably around 6 or something like that. So my first meal of the day was dinner. I mean, I don't call it breakfast. I don't eat breakfast. I never eat breakfast. I mean, I could even say that even at 6, it was my like personally, it was kind of like a lunch for me, but I don't really, it doesn't matter what it is for me. I'm saying, technically speaking, objectively speaking, it was dinner time at 6.
Okay, well, we gotta move on because I think we've explored.
I guess that's the biggest issue.
You're not going to win this with me. I'm not going to agree with you.
No, but it's just interesting that it's almost like I think this is how we get inside the mind of Trump, like people who think that Trump won the election, is that there's facts that exist, but people's gut feeling is more important to them than just looking at the facts. That's kind of interesting. I think this is why January 6th happened, is because of people like you.
Okay. Well, sound off in the comments. And if you think I'm basically the same as a Trump supporter who believes he won the election, because
your personal feeling about something is more.
No, it's not. It's about time. It's because I think one is closer to dinner time and one is closer to lunchtime. And I've already said it. I don't need to really repeat it.
Well, it's technically not in the zone, so.
Okay.
Like, think about your neighborhood. Do you, well, I mean, if you lived on the border of a neighborhood, it's like, well, anyway, whatever. I hear you. I do agree that, look, okay, if, for example, if, say you're 30 years old and 3/4, if you said you were 31, I buy that, because you're closer to 31, and that makes more sense. Why is that different to me than the other thing? And also, if you live close to one neighborhood, so close that you might as well say the other neighborhood than the other, it makes it seem it's more accurate to say the other neighborhood than the other neighborhood. I buy that too, saying that. But then if you actually, no, you know what? I say that, in an abstract way, I buy that. Sorry, we won't dwell on this anymore. I just want to make this last point. If you say you're 31 because you're close to 31, I'm fine with that. But then if you were to actually put things down if you're filling out a chart and filling out what your exact birthday is and stuff, you wouldn't actually say 31. You'd actually have to say 30. And if you had to, in a chart, say what neighborhood you lived in and put it down and exactly what neighborhood you're in, you would say the neighborhood you're technically in, not the one you're closer to, And if you had to technically put down what meal that was at 4:30, you couldn't say it's closer to the dinner time, so therefore it's dinner. You would have to say lunch. That, I rest my case. And that is you can't argue with that.
You're basing your whole argument on what time restaurants put out a menu, because
not just that.
Yes.
The definition of what time, what a dinner is, what a lunch is, and what time of day, and what time frame is afternoon, and what time frame is evening, as set forth by any news outlet.
Well, you're also being very strict on what do you mean by early? Early means something that comes out before the scheduled time. So therefore, if you say early dinner, like I said before, that means if 5 o'clock is dinner time and 4:30 is just before, that's called early. So everything is late until the exact time.
Early means the beginning.
If your birthday was on Wednesday and you want to have a birthday party on Tuesday, say your 35th birthday is Wednesday. So by your logic, if you had your birthday party on Tuesday, you're saying, I'm just having a late 34th birthday.
No, you wouldn't say that. You would say, I'm celebrating my birthday on this day, but my birthday is actually tomorrow or whatever.
Well, I could say I'm celebrating dinner at 4:30, but it's actually at 5.
You could say that. I'm saying this. I'm saying you could say that, but if you actually had to fill out a form to say, okay, when is your actual birthday? You wouldn't say, well, my early birthday is on the Tuesday. You would have to say my birthday is actually on Wednesday. If you're saying what it actually is, you could say what it feels like, or you could say you can round things in conversation or whatever. And sure, in conversation, you could say it's an early dinner, but technically speaking, I'm talking technically speaking, it's 4:30 is lunch, and there's no way around it. Early means it's the early part of the zone, you know. So if you say early dinner, that would be 5 o'clock, or even 5:30, you know, because dinner goes all the way till 10.
Well, if
usually.
dinner starts at 5, you could just say I'm having a very punctual dinner.
I mean, I'm just saying early.
If
you could say
if you have a job and you have to be there at 8 a.m. and you got there at 7:30, would you say you got to work the night before early, or would you say you got to work early?
you got to school, you got to work before you start work, I would say.
Then what does the word early mean?
It means the beginning of something. So, you're saying if you got there at 8 o'clock.
The beginning of something. Early means you're there before the start of something.
Well, okay. No, I do agree with that. I agree with that. That early is, yeah, that it can mean that. It can mean that. Sure. Early can mean before. You can mean before a time. Sure.
That's exactly what it is. The definition of early, before the time of something.
Well, no, the early also can mean the beginning of it. You know what I mean? Like that can mean like the beginning part of a time frame. You know what I mean? Like there's the early part of the time frame, and then there's the late part of the time frame. You know,
you have a comedy show that starts at 8, and it starts at 8. You say, "Oh, we started early," or would you say I started on time?
Well, you could say you start on time, but you would say, I mean, sure, that's a good example of that. But I'm saying that, would you say that 8 o'clock, when the show starts at 8 o'clock, would you say that's the early part of the show? You would. Like, as opposed to the late part of the show, which would be around 9:30 or 9:20.
Sure.
So,
but both definitions work.
Okay, sure, but
my definition of early doesn't work in this case.
I guess no. Here's the thing. Here's why I find fault in early dinners, because dinner, the key word being dinner, that changes things. Dinner to me modifies it to be, if it's an early dinner, then it means that, that's in the early zone of dinner time, which is, you know what I mean? But, and then, yeah.
Well, it also means before the time period of something, which we've already established. Like if you get to work early or good.
I can kind of give you a little something on that, but.
I know, look, you don't want to lose this argument.
No. I'm totally open to it. I'm trying to go based strictly on technicalities here, you know, like not personal schedules, not your personal feeling or.
This is not my personal feeling. I don't like lunch more than dinner. It's not like.
So are you saying, but by the way, would you say
they want Trump to win? It's just.
Let me say this real quick. Would you consider 3 p.m. to be an early dinner? Or even 2 p.m. to be an early dinner? Because you could say that too, I guess, by your logic.
Well, 12 to 1 is, so like people go to lunch at 12 or 1. So those would be, if you go to lunch at 1, you're probably done at 2. So 3 would be a late lunch to me. Yeah, 3 would be a late lunch.
Yeah, I just don't know why. But see, by your logic, because you're saying if it happens before dinner, then it's early. So, I mean, if it happens before dinner time, and by the way, you're admitting too that dinner time starts at 5. So by saying early dinner, you're saying, by the way, how about this? Let's just, you know what? Here's the confusion. Forget early and late. Is 4:30 dinner or lunch? Put it to you that way. Forget the early modifiers, okay? Because like early can mean different things. So forget that. Is 4:30 lunch or dinner? That's the question.
Dinner.
No, it's lunch. You know it's lunch, and there's no argument against that.
Okay, you win. Let's move on. How about we listen to a Duran Duran song?
I'd love to.
Let the listeners decide, because it's not necessarily even an argument I care about. I'm just you know, based on my thoughts, that's just how I feel. It's also a gray area. It's like you could pick any time between there, and it's like, to me, I would I would just call that dinner, and that would be my one meal of the day.
Yeah, like I said, it's not about your personal thought, your feeling. I'm not asking what is dinner or lunch for you. I'm asking you, technically speaking, based on agreed upon definitions of words and times of days, is 4:30 lunch or dinner. So forget the whole early thing, because okay, I agree that early can mean a couple different things. So, if you have to pick lunch or dinner, and if you're describing that, technically speaking, not based on your own personal schedule or personal feeling on it, not about feeling, but if you're just to go based on the definitions of stuff, it's lunch. 4:30 is lunch. There's no argument.
I don't really like being accused of going off my feelings. Like a Trump supporter is ignoring the fact that there's numbers, and this is. I mean, I'm also going off numbers, which is time. How about this? I'm going to do an Instagram poll.
No, don't even bother.
Check in. Oh, you scared?
Well, okay. What would you do? This is what you do, though. You go.
Is 4:30 lunch or is 4:30 lunch?
Don't even say early. Forget the early part, because we established that there's some confusion about early. Okay, or early / late. Okay, but the way you word it is. By the way, I was trying to be done with it. Once you said I won, I didn't say anything else. But if you want to post something, put technically speaking. Okay, objectively / technically speaking, is 4:30 lunch or dinner?
Okay.
And how about this? And you have to pick one.
Well, it'll be a poll, so you have to, let's see here.
If you had to pick, how about this? This is how you word it. If you had to pick one, you have to pick one. Objectively / technically speaking, is 4:30 lunch or dinner? 4:30 p.m. And then,
does this work?
Well, I guess I wouldn't mind if you said technically / objectively.
Technically / objectively.
Just to make sure, just to drive it home that it's not like it's not about like your personal schedule. You know what I mean? It's like it's about like the general, just the general standard here.
It's exactly how you want it. Here we go.
I guess so.
Check in before the end of the show.
Yeah, we'll check in, babe. You know what though? This show is sponsored by BetterHelp.
Hey Brent, I used to get caught up in what everyone else needs from me and never took a moment to think about what I need for myself.
Let me guess. You spend all your time giving, and it makes you feel stretched thin and burned out. Huh?
Exactly, yeah. But therapy using BetterHelp gave me the tools to find more balance in my life, so I could keep supporting others without leaving myself behind.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try.
It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule.
Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge.
Find more balance with BetterHelp.
Visit betterhelp.com/poundcast today to get 10% off your first month.
That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/poundcast. Okay. Let me share the sound here. I can't believe that we did that for that long.
Well, at a certain point, I didn't. You kept it going, actually.
Yeah, it's me.
How much? Oh, okay. Oh no, Oh wow, we did talk about that for a long time.
Share the audio. Okay. I mean, I got a few songs here. I got the Reflex by Duran Duran.
I'm just kind of wondering, should we wait until Unzip to do these, or do one?
Well, let me see what else I got here. I think I have another one that might be out.
Come on, come on, come on.
That's
Well,
Morrison.
yeah. Well, we could do this one because it's kind of a short song. He kind of just repeats the lyrics, you know?
Okay.
And we could go a little longer than we were
Okay.
scheduled to because we really drilled down into that. We'll end on kind of a creepy song, you know?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, now touch me, baby. Can't you see that I am not afraid?
So right away, he wants someone to touch him.
Yeah. Let me just make one note real quick.
Yeah.
That this observation, there's a comedian named Mike Spiegelman in San Francisco who he had a whole bit about how, you know, Jim Morrison, when he says these lyrics, it sounds sexy to girls or whatever, but if he said them, it would sound, you know, really creepy. Come on, touch me. But he says the lyrics exactly as they are, but he's
somebody noticed this before.
Yeah. I just, you know, in case
well, is
just to
this
give credit
that's
to Mike
already been
Spiegelman.
explored by someone else we could listen to another song?
No. I keep it going. It's an interesting thing to think about. I just want to give credit to Mike Spiegelman that he had this bit, you know, about Jim Morrison, but I think the listeners don't know him, and you know, we should get into this.
Yeah. So imagine, like, what situation is he in where he's like yelling at someone? He's almost like a crazy guy on a train or something. Like, come on, touch me. You know?
Yeah. I mean, can you play that again? Play the first one. Play the first line again.
Okay.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, now touch me, baby. Can't you see that I am not afraid?
But like, why would he not be afraid?
Right.
I mean, like the person, the babe that's touching him, she's the one that should be afraid.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like some gaslighting going on here, right?
It is interesting.
You know what I mean?
Well, maybe he's just saying.
No, and then it gets
I don't know
worse.
what he's saying.
And then it gets worse.
What was that promise that you made?
It's like, oh, maybe she promised to touch him earlier, and now he's like holding her feet to the fire for this like creepy request. You know?
Right. You promised. Come on, you promised.
What was that? You promised. Also, a guy like Jim Morrison, does he need to be begging these babes to touch him in 1968 or whatever?
No, it is
Summer of Love.
It is crazy lyrics. I mean, she's like, "Come on, touch me. You promised."
Yeah. What was that promise? What was that promise? Remember that promise? Huh? What about this part?
Why won't you tell me what she said?
What?
Why won't you tell me what she said?
What's that in reference to?
Well, it's mysterious, but I think what's going on is her friend's like, don't be going out with that Jim Morrison guy. And he's like, what did she say? Why won't you tell me what she said?
Oh my God. It's like, wow.
Her friend is like, her friend's like, don't mess with that guy.
Yeah, don't touch him. Yeah, he made me touch. He made me touch him. He coerced me into touching him.
And then she's talking to her friend. She's like, "Hey, what did she say? What did she say to you? Why won't you tell me what she said?"
He's basically saying, "What did that lying bitch say to you?"
Yeah, what did she say to you? I don't like you talking to her.
What was that promise that you made?
Now he's like singing it all happy, like he's
trying to flip it. He's like, no, it's all good. It's all good. Just what was that promise that you made? You know,
what was that promise that you made? It's like in a horror movie where like the killer is like singing and dancing. You know, that's kind of like a trope that they use a lot, where they play like happy music when something bad is going on and someone's dancing around.
Now I'm gonna love you till the heavens stop the rain.
That's not so bad.
Yeah, but if you think about it, he's
Oh.
he's probably gaslighting her further by, he's got her now. Okay, she
Uh-huh.
is, and he's like telling her these lies about how much he's gonna love her forever, because he got what he wanted.
I'm gonna love you till the stars fall from the sky for you and I.
He's basically saying he's gonna love her until her life is over.
You know what's interesting? I didn't even think about this until listening to this acapella right now, is that he's got a really croonery kind of sounding voice, you know? Oh, here at least. It sounds like a crooner, where, less like a rock kind of guy and more like a crooner.
Well, big time. I think he's probably influenced by Elvis. If you think about, Elvis was only 10 years before this,
Yeah.
or less. Or, Elvis was still going at this point.
Well, I wouldn't even call Elvis as much of a crooner either. Well, kind of, I guess, in some
He's
songs.
absolutely a
But
crooner.
I'm kind of thinking he almost sounds more like a Frank Sinatra or something like that, you know?
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, now touch me, babe.
Not that part.
Can't you see that I am not afraid? What was that promise that you made? Why won't you tell me what she said? What was that promise that you made? I'm gonna...
So it pretty much goes on. It just repeats those two sections. It's a catchy tune though, you got to admit. Dun, 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 dun. It's counterpoint. It's like this happy tune with like this organ on it. It's counterpoint to the creepiness that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But there is something at the end here that sounds kind of interesting.
Till the heavens stop the rain, I'm gonna love you till the stars fall from the sky for you and I.
Huh. On the lyrics here, it says stronger than dirt, but I didn't hear that. Maybe they didn't. Well, that's pretty much that song. Yeah. So what do you think about that?
Well, it's an interesting. Those are, first of all, it's interesting how sparse the lyrics. I mean, how little there are lyrics. I mean, wow, you only need that many lyrics to make a whole song. That's damn. I wish I knew that. You know.
Yeah, there's kind of like a pre-chorus, a chorus. Well, kind of, and then like that bridge part. I'm gonna love, yeah.
What's that song called? Touch Me?
I also got Light My Fire.
Huh?
That's called Touch Me, yeah.
Uh-huh.
You want to check out Light My Fire? It might be equally short.
Is that right?
Yeah, let me see here. Light My Fire, The Doors. Yeah, it's kind of the same kind of song. It's a sexy song. Want to check this out a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, that's a shorter
Girl,
one.
we couldn't get.
Yeah.
You know that it would be untrue. You know that I would be a liar if I was to say to you, girl, we couldn't get much higher. Come on, baby, light my fire.
Well, hold on. He's saying I'd be a liar if I said we couldn't get any higher.
Yeah, he's saying it would be untrue. You know, I would be a liar if I would just say to you we couldn't get much higher.
Right. He's saying we can get higher.
Yeah, he's saying we can get higher if all you gotta do is light my fire.
Right. What does that mean? Mean light the blunt? Is that what he means? Kind of stoke the blunt? Or is he meaning he's talking about lighting the bowl, and he taking the bong hit? What is he talking about? Because they're talking about trying to get higher. He's saying we're pretty buzzed right now, but we can get even higher. Just here, light me up, light me up.
Right.
And
It's
he's
just
like,
a guy trying to light his joint. And he's
yeah.
like, come on, like I'd be he's just saying it in his poetic way. It's like, I'd be a liar. She's like, what? It would be untrue. She's like, if what? If I were to say to you what? That we couldn't get much higher. He's like, I already smoked 3 puffs. I'm kind of good.
He's also saying this too. She's going, dude, we're pretty buzzed right now, huh? She goes, yeah. He goes, I'm like, whoa. We're like, whoa right now, right? Yeah. You know what? I'm not gonna lie to you. You can go even higher. And she's like, really? He's like, yeah, dude, light me up. Okay. Oh, damn. Get a hit of this. Oh my God. I never thought I could get this high before. Something like that. I don't know. It's some stoner talk, really, when you get down to it, you know?
Yeah. This dude was loaded the whole time.
It's all just sex and drugs. The other one, he's trying to coerce this girl into touching his penis or whatever, touching his butthole. And then in this, yeah, what part of his body do you think
Yeah, what if he's like, he's like sticking his butt up. He's like, touch me, baby.
right? Or he's
like,
spread his legs and he's showing his
up his
taint.
butt.
It's his taint. He's talking about his taint. Come on, touch me, babe. She's like trying to touch his penis. She's like, no, touch me. What do you mean your taint?
She comes around the corner like, and he's like, come on, come on, come on, come on. And he's like, come on, come on. His legs are like, well, like, okay, back to this song real quick.
Come on, baby, light my fire. Try to set the night on fire. The time to hesitate is through. No time to wallow in the mire. Try now, we can only lose. And our love become a funeral pyre.
Okay, so he's saying, maybe she said no. She's like, no, I'm not gonna like that. You're good. You're already like acting weird. You're too hot.
The cops are coming.
The cops are gonna come. They can.
He's like, we got to smoke this now, or we're gonna have to. It's gonna be too late, you know.
Yeah. He's like, the time to hesitate is through. No time to wallow in the mire. And she's like, that's a bit dramatic. I mean, and he's like, now, try now. We can only lose. And our love becomes a funeral pyre, which is basically like when you burn a body, right?
Cremation.
He's like, I'm gonna kill us all if we don't.
Well, I thought it was more just that our love for getting high is gonna be like, or something like that. If we don't keep staying high, we're gonna get low, and if we get so low, we're gonna be under the ground. Funeral. Something like that. It's all about just getting high, and he doesn't want to get low.
Come on, baby, light my fire.
This is
Come on, baby, light my fire.
I want him to go crazy right here.
Try to set the night on fire. Yeah.
He's a drug addict. He's a drug addict.
Organ solo here.
This song is about addiction.
It's not about addiction. It's about how he loves drugs, probably.
I'm saying he's addicted to drugs, is what I'm saying. He's addicted to getting high. He's an addict.
Well, remember, they were on Ed Sullivan, and they wanted him to change the lyrics. Like, we couldn't, light my fire, Ed Sullivan.
Yeah, and then he he said it anyway, the lyric.
Yeah, but what did they want him to change it to?
Right, I forgot.
I think I have it here.
It was about higher. I don't think they wanted him saying we couldn't get any higher. He said they wanted him to change it to maybe lighter or something like that.
Yeah, what did they want him to change it to?
Yeah. Well, it seems like it's glorifying drug use. We don't want that.
Girl, there's nothing I require. They wanted him to say require instead of hire.
Oh,
Girl, there's nothing. Girl, there's nothing I require.
the only thing he does require is that you touch his taint, touch his perineum. He loves that.
Now touch my taint.
Now touch my taint.
Let's see if he got his wish yet.
Do
you hear that?
Yeah, that sounds like the AI generated thing that you were showing me yesterday, you know?
He's singing along to the organ solo, but he's like sounds like a nut job. He's like do 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 do. You know what I mean?
He's tripping out. He's tripping.
Yeah. Maybe he got that light.
Yeah. No, she lit him. Is that what people?
Listen to that.
That's interesting. He smoked the peace pipe.
Yeah.
I think he was. Be careful. Pause it. I don't want I think that he just, he's been smoking the peace pipe. That's why there's all those. Remember how they had those Native Americans in the movie? He's seeing these visions of Native Americans and stuff.
Yeah.
He's smoking the peace pipe. Jim Morrison.
The time to hesitate is through. No.
I guess he just goes back through the lyrics again.
Hey, when you envision Jim Morrison, do you think of the actual Jim Morrison or do you think of Val Kilmer?
Good question. No, I think of the actual guy because I haven't seen that movie in a while, but he was really good. I think he captured him pretty spot on.
I would say maybe these days I do think of the real face of the guy, but for a long time when I thought of Jim Morrison, I thought of him physically looking like Val Kilmer's face,
Yeah. Well, you know what? This song just repeats again. This is another like these.
All right.
Like if you want a hit song, all you got to do is get some good musicians, some catchy riffs, and come up with like a real kind of, I don't know how you describe these lyrics. They're just sort of vague sexual lyrics.
Or drugs
or sex.
Sex, drugs.
Yeah. I think we could we could probably just write our own.
Hey, I mean, yeah, man,
Let's write that in the Unzipped.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Fine. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 replies. Let's see here. Oh,
yeah.
Hold on. Let me see. How is my? Well, so far we got 74% for dinner, 26% for lunch.
People are wrong.
Andrew Michon chimed in, our friend Andrew. A lot of people are saying it's supper.
I mean, no. I mean, it's not, We
don't want to open up this can of worms here. We don't want to
if anything, it's afternoon.
We don't want to open up this can of beans or wait or something.
Well, actually, beans is right. It's
we
actually
don't want to open up this can of soup.
You want, by the way, do you know anything about afternoon tea?
I'm drinking some right now.
Well, afternoon tea is around 4 or so, 4:30. So there's high tea also, which is different, but afternoon tea was to tie people over until dinner from lunch. It was okay. If they had lunch around noon, you'd had afternoon tea, and afternoon tea it's lunch items. It's sandwiches and stuff, and
Oh, so it's not just tea.
Right. That's what I mean. It's a little meal. It's a little meal.
Biscuits.
There's biscuits and stuff. But it was to tie people over till dinner, you know?
Well, like, look, this is all these things are arbitrary constructs of civilization. Like, breakfast was invented by like a corporation that wanted to sell more bacon and eggs and stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, you know,
my
I guess.
sister lives in Asia and she thinks it's weird that people eat like, or certain people from Asia think it's weird that people eat meat for breakfast. They're like, it should just be like fruit, you know, or something. So it's like, you know, this is all just made up things. Like,
Well,
anyway, so
hey,
in a way, we're both wrong.
Well, I'm just going to say, as made up as it is, I'm just saying the common agreed upon meanings of what these things mean, then lunch is at 4:30 is lunch.
Okay. We should call a restaurant and see what they think.
Well, I'd love let's do that. Let's do that, please. I guarantee you any restaurant is going to say dinner's at 5:30, it's 5:00, you know, guaranteed, because there's no restaurant serving dinner at 4:30, guaranteed. Please.
Okay.
I actually kind of curious about what Zed would say, because he has waiting experience. I know that my brothers are
well, how about this?
By the way, my brothers have a lot of our waiting experience, and they said by definitely 4:30 is not dinner; it's the lunch.
But is it late? Is it early dinner?
Forget the early late business, all that.
That was the whole question.
No, but you're right though that you're right about that. I think early is confusing because early can mean different things. Early can mean before. It could also mean the beginning part of a thing too. So let's leave early out of it, you know.
Okay, well, you moved the goalposts. That was the original question. Now, you know, now that's not part of it.
No. You're right, but because you pointed out that early does have different meanings, and that can muck things up a little bit. So, you know, because then it becomes a little bit hard to talk about if we can't agree on what early means. Because we can just agree that it means different things, and so that can make things. You know, yeah, I can see the argument now for early dinner because if it's before dinner time, then you're saying that it's an early dinner. But okay, forget that. I'm saying lunch or dinner. Forget the early part. Lunch or dinner.
I can agree that if you're at a restaurant and dinner starts at 5, you can't order dinner. So therefore, what you're eating has to be lunch.
And that's standard, by the way. I mean, that's a standard. I'm in restaurants, and I'd be happy to call a restaurant right now. Call Fred 62, by the way.
All right, well, by the way, that's a 24-hour. Well, maybe they're not 24-hour anymore, but that's an all-night diner. So,
right. You know what? We can show this in the unzip, but I can pull up a menu for Fred 62.
Well, we can't go off of one restaurant.
Well, I'm just saying that's one. I mean, you could do any restaurant. I mean, any restaurant that has special like dinner items, that menu starts at 5. You know. Anyway,
look, I just hope people are entertained by this.
Me too. By the way, I hope people and chime in. You know, we got a Discord. Go to our Discord, which is I think the link for it is in the description of the episodes, and go to the episode discussion section. I think there's an episode discussion section.
And if you're on YouTube,
have at it.
Sound off in the comments.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're on Patreon,
sound off there.
Patreon.com/Poundcast. You could listen to us continue talking about this fascinating discussion.
Or, you know, we might talk about Jim Morrison a little bit too. Or we might listen.
We'll probably listen to this Duran Duran. You know that song? The Reflex. Why don't they use it? Trying to.
That's what you gotta vibrate your throat like that.
I think I saw Weird Al do like one of his medleys, and I thought when he sang it, he did this. Because it's like they have this crazy vibrato when they sing that part. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh no. You know, I know the part of the song. I know the part of the song. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I know. I didn't know that. What Weird Al does it?
I thought I saw him do that like during a medley. Well, you know what? We'll look that up in the unzip too. So
okay, look, if you want to continue on with us, hit us up at patreon.com/poundcast. And, we're going to keep going, I think it'd be fun if we called restaurants. I think that sounds kind of fun,
Yeah. Well,
Let's call 5 restaurants and just ask them what time does dinner start.
okay. Look,
I'm
yeah,
confident.
Let's wrap it up. It's really hot in here. I got to turn a fan on or something.
Okay. Hey guys, thank you to Jack Birch for your help, his help. Give it up to Jack Birch and sweetjack.com. No, not sweetjack. Yeah, sweetjack.com on Instagram. Thank you to Daniel Avila for help with the TikToks. I think that's it, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you to all the Patreon pimples who are supporting us and keeping this healthy debate alive.
And you know what? Thank you to everyone who acknowledges that 4:30 is lunchtime, because you are the people that keep this country a democracy and not a fascist country.
Okay, well, we should save the ad hominem attacks for the unzipped part.
So I'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
We're going zipped here.
Doug and Brett, talking to each other. Doug and Brett, what will they talk about today? Doug and Brett are talking to some pimples. Doug and Brett will talk to their friends, and Doug and Brett talking on the Poundcast.